7:20 in Trinidad and Tobago. Well, do you remember with the closure of ArcelorMittal and how much would have affected those who would have been employed at that organization? It left 600 people unemployed. There have been efforts by the Steelworkers Union to get government's intervention to save jobs, but that hasn't materialized. Now there's a new bid by an organization called Macquarie Steel to revive the industry, which is gaining support from stakeholders. Well, we're joined now by T.Bailey, who is the Chief Labor Relations Officer and Executive Treasurer of the Steelworkers Union. T.Bailey, thanks very much for joining us this morning. You're more than welcome. Before we talk about this latest initiative, how badly have workers been affected? Have many found other forms of employment? What has been the situation with those who were laid off?
Fast, unfortunately, things have just deteriorated. Workers are still unemployed. Unfortunately, I want to say condolences to the family of Arnold John, Curtis Bancroft, two workers who would have died in the last 2 days from heart attack, stress-related. These workers were in the march a week ago. These workers are workers that are unemployed and are struggling to basically make ends meet to support their families. And this continues in terms of the trickle effect, in terms of children not being able to finish university, having to go to work, and that kind of stuff, people losing their houses. It's not nice at all. It's bad, it's horrible.
And you know, I'm glad that you're able to personalize the situation, because there are many who will hold the view that unions do what unions do, exaggerate the situation and make it appear a lot worse than it really is. But from what you're saying, and I have no reason to doubt what you're saying, this is actually impacting on people's lives in it's become a life and death sort of situation.
Correct. By no stretch of imagination are we exaggerating the situation. The situation is a horrible situation. Unfortunately, people have not and have still not realized how serious it is. There's an opportunity that has arisen, and we are hoping that everybody in Trinidad and Tobago would see what could happen out of this, could see the benefits to the country, not only the community, not only the workers, but the national community. And we are hoping that we embrace this opportunity. It's a great opportunity.
Tell us a bit more. Give us some more information as to what is this all about. Is this something that you can vouch for as being genuine, being legitimate? Has it fulfilled all of the financial and requirements of a legitimate effort by investors?
Definitely. Not only can we vouch, the Point Lisa Scuba Chamber has basically come out in public and have put out a press release, because they have had meetings with this entity who have been here for twice over the last 2 months, clearly saying that they are fully in support of their plan, because the entity is open. They have expressed to us what are their plans. Their plans are to reopen the facility, re-employ all the workers that want to be re-employed, not only restart the DR1, 2, and 3 module, but restart the melt shop plant, the rolling mill plant, and also add other facilities. They are going to add a pelletization plant, a ferro iron plant, and a forging plant, which at the end of 5 years would employ 5,000 people in Trinidad and Tobago if they are given the opportunity. This initiative, or this project, is a $1.2 billion US investment. They have come, they have the money, they have made an offer to the liquidator, who basically has not been entertaining them. Currently, it is alleged that he's entertaining an entity by the name of New Iron Unlimited, which is the preferred bidder, and the sum that he's entertaining is in the region of $20 million US. Now, when you look at that and you look at holistically what the plant was sold to Mittal in 1993-94 for, was $70 million US. That was before we had added the DR3 mega module, which is the largest of its kind in the Western Hemisphere, and this plant being entertained and to be sold for $20 million US. It's a joke. The workers' separation benefit, the terminal benefits alone, is $30 million US. So when you look at it holistically and you analyze what has happened, considering that Mittal was 90% of the creditors on the creditors list, the next 10% are local contractors and the workers, you could see alignment in terms of it not being a process that could benefit the nationals of Trinidad and Tobago, the workers or anybody who stands to benefit from a local perspective. With 20 million US dollars and the amount that is being owed through the liquidation process, the local creditors will not get anything. In addition to that,
yes, go ahead.
In addition to that, it has been alleged that this company, who deals solely with DRI production, is going to scrap the DR1 plant, DR2 plant. It's going to scrap the mill shop, the rolling mill. So it means that in the future, there is no opportunity for people to continue and regain their livelihood. It means that the utility company and the economy of Trinidad and Tobago will not be able to get a cash injection or revenue that it once generated, because when this company was in operation, the utility companies that being WASA, NGC, and Tiantec would have gained in excess of 50 million US dollars per month. The treasury would have gained 25 million US dollars per month. All of this has dried up due to the closure of the facility. But what is alarming is that in all the correspondence, because they have been open with us, to all the authorities, the utility companies, and trying to engage them, they have said that they do not want concessions for natural gas, they do not want concessions for electricity, they do not want concessions for water. So what it means is that the ability to gain 50 million US dollars has moved to another level in terms of it being more. The possibility exists that we will gain more money. And with the addition of the 3 plants that I told you, the ferrovial plant, the pelletization plant, and the forging plant, it means that the utilities will be utilized in a bigger way. So we are wondering why an opportunity like this is not being entertained. We understand that from a New Iron perspective, what is alleged, if you look at it, I heard that terminology this week and it fits it. Kobo capitalism. They would be able to flip a plant if they buy for 20 million US dollars through scrap for 50 million US dollars. So why not?
And you know, Timothy, I'm glad you preface what you're saying with it is alleged, because we can't independently verify that at the moment. But at the end of the day, let me flip the question then. Does the Steelworkers Union have a stake in Macquarie Steel? Are you getting something on the side for pushing this particular endeavor?
Yes, we are getting some money aside. We are getting our workers back on the job. Most definitely. That is the benefit. The benefit is to end the suffering. So if that's the question you're asking, definitely, Fazil, we are getting some money aside, meaning that people suffering with stuff, they will be back on their jobs, they'll be able to provide for their families, they'll be able to contribute to our economy, and we as a union, being an institution, will be able to see the impact in a positive way of the finances, the business for contractors, for our national economy. So if that's the question, definitely.
And what needs to be done therefore to move this process forward? If all that you are saying is true, as how you've presented it, and the issue is that the liquidator is not entertaining this bid at this moment, what needs to be done to persuade a change of heart?
Well, the reality is that there's no question that Macquarie came into the equation late. But if you look at the documents, because we were in the process to a certain point, the liquidator has the ability to reopen the bidding process. And we are saying that from a moral, ethical, and from a national perspective.
But wouldn't that open up, I understand the moral and ethical concern, but wouldn't that open up a legal challenge from anyone who would have bid within the time frame?
I was getting to that.
Okay.
I'm just getting to that. It's not only that. It's a situation of a national interest. It's a situation of, I am going to close up an opportunity for employment. I'm going to close up an opportunity to build, help the economy, the country. And the alternative is a company that's going to do a 1.2 billion US dollar investment for the country that basically could impact all the citizens of this country. And that is why I started with the moral and ethical. And in addition to that, the liquidator has a responsibility to the creditors. We are creditors, the local contractors are creditors, and the local contractors along with us have engaged a senior counsel who have written the liquidator saying clearly that he should reopen the bid, because the bid that Macquarie has offered to the liquidator is 40% more than he's entertaining. We are not looking at a reality of getting everything back through the liquidation process. But with Macquarie, what we have is the ability to get more because they're offering more for the plant, and then continuity of employment. Those same contractors who are creditors and will not get the money that is owed to them would be able to get work back into the company as service providers. Those same workers who were deprived of any separation benefit for Azure. And we need to remember this.
Yes.
Metal left, we did not get a cent. Those workers would be able to go back on the job and, as I said before, provide for their family, make a contribution to this economy. And there is no input needed from the government in terms of financially. All we need is the political will. All we need
Political will manifested how? Because I know the Labour Minister, Jennifer Baptiste-Primer, said that essentially her hands were tied because of the legal part. The union challenged her on that, and she maintained she could not intervene because that would have resulted in even more legal complications and so on. When you say political will, what do you mean?
Fazil, we live in a world and we are intelligent people. If a government of our country wants to get involved in a scenario, and I'm not any tit for tat with this government needs to be show some empathy and show some caringness in this situation and understand the impact that this could have on the country. This is a situation of national interest. When you're talking about $50 million drying up in revenue that would have contributed to the economy previously, and the ability to maybe add 25 or 30% to that per month, the ability to bring foreign exchange into the economy, something that the economy is suffering from. This economy is limping. And we are saying that from a national perspective, let's forget about the workers and the suffering. That's one aspect. Let's think about 10, 15 years down the road. When this plant is closed, what are we going to do? When it's scrapped, what are we going to do? That's an opportunity loss, and somebody is going to buy the facility for $50 million and set it up somewhere else for some citizens in some other country to benefit. We won't have a steel industry in Trinidad anymore. The facility as it is currently and how it's alleged to be operated by the New Iron entity is only going to benefit them. And I accept that from a capitalist perspective, they have their agenda, but we as patriotic and loyal citizens must have our agenda, and our agenda must be the national interest.
And in pursuit of that national interest as you represent, let's say, for example, the government would have been inclined or to at least listen to what you have to say. If the bids were to be reopened, and if the Macquarie steel bid is accepted, what sort of time frame are we talking about, as you understand it, for the operations to be essentially revived?
Right, it's clearly stated in the letters to the utility companies. The DR3, which is the mega module that the other entity is solely and focused on, is going to be started up in a month to 2 months' time. The rolling mill in 3 months and the melt shop in 6 months. And then they start construction on the other facilities. So we're talking about 6 to 8 months where the workers that were displaced could be placed back on the job, could be working, could be contributed to the economy. And then we are talking about the other 5,000 individuals who, with the expansion, because you have to build these facilities and then you have to basically put workers on the job. So this is something that could benefit us tremendously as a country. And we need for people in Trinidad and Tobago to not only look at this as a steelworkers issue. This is an issue, and that's why the chamber is on board. When the chamber sat down with this entity on more than one occasion, and they drilled them, and they realized that this entity is for real, and they realized the impact that the closure had on the community, the chamber only had one answer: this is a win-win.
And before time runs out on us, Timothy Bailey, is there a deadline by which Macquarie Steel has to get some sort of indication of interest that it's worthwhile to pursue? Are they going to say, look, if we hear nothing encouraging by the end of August, by the end of September or whatever, is there any deadline to this particular offer?
The reality is that they haven't said that to us, but in the real world, a multi-billion-dollar company is not going to sit idly by and not be entertained by a country or a government or its people with an investment that, yes, it would benefit them, but would benefit the country. They won't sit idly by. They will find things to do with their money, and that's the reality. That's the harsh reality.
Timothy Bailey, thanks very much
for having us, Faz.
This morning. You're more than welcome, and indeed it has been a real challenge, and it's very, very sad to hear of the passing of 2 individuals who were among those who were laid off and who were involved in the demonstration. So yes, it is very, very real, but is this offer real? They are saying it is. There might be different perspectives, and it's all about getting a better sense and a better understanding of what is available from either Macquarie Steel or what appears to be the preferred bidder based on the information associated with the liquidator. Let's take a break. break and we'll continue right here on Morning Edition.